So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just getting ready for our second match on the live stream court. You can see Mchugh of Canada has just got on there to warm up a little bit. I should say, while we're waiting, to Pakistan, Salam Alaikum, and to Colombia, Hola. There's a great match between Pakistan and Colombia on the other court, the non-live stream court, right now, and they're in the fourth game, and Juan Camilo Vargas has just taken a 2-1 lead against Shah Jahan Khan, but it's a very, very tough match, and you can follow the live scoring point by point if you go to usprosquashseries.com/live, and you can see all of those results as they come in. Alright, but we're just waiting for the beginning of this next match with Mchugh of Canada and Campbell Grayson of New Zealand. Campbell is the number 3 seed, and this will be his first match in the tournament. Mchugh, he had a qualifying match against Roshan Barros of the Netherlands, Goedenavond, Nederland. But Mr. Barros did not come through. Mchugh, in 52 minutes, was the conqueror and came through 11-8, 10-12, 11-6, 11-4. So we'll see what Mike can come up with against Campbell Grayson, who's just come away from the US Open, where he played some great matches. I was lucky enough to be there to watch him play, and as they're warming up here on the court, you can see that Campbell Grayson is on the right, Mchugh with his name on the back on the left, and I know Mchugh has had already a pretty good career. You know, he's currently ranked 90. He has been as high as 81. He joined PSA in 2010. He's already been in 8 finals. He's 26 years old, and he's coached by my old friend and wonderful world-class player and fantastic Scottish coach, Martin Heath. And on the other hand, his opponent, one of our leading players here, seeded 3 in this tournament. He's currently ranked 35 in the world, and he has been as high as 32. Now, he's been around for quite a long time. Joined the PSA in 2003, did our friend Campbell Grayson here. He's won 288 matches, lost 218, retired 4 times, and he's been in 23 finals. And he lists his coaches as my friend Nick Taylor, who's the director of squash at the Infinitum program, which is a really exciting program up in Massachusetts. You know, the brainchild of Chesson Gertler. And the other coach that he lists is another former world champion, beautiful squash player, Rodney Isles from Australia. So, you know, both these players, great experience and great quality in the development of both players. Grayson has real athleticism and agility in his court coverage. You know, really seems to be able to extend himself and keep his balance, which is a really difficult thing to do on the squash court. Great strength required to be able to do that. And I was interested to see his backhand technique at the US Open the other day. He uses a closed racket face from time to time, and he drops his wrist in certain circumstances, but such is his understanding of where the tip of his racket is and what his racket face is doing, although you wouldn't teach a beginner to do that, he has really good control of it. And I didn't see the dropping of the wrist breaking down to the extent that he was making errors from it. So he's really learned how to manage his technique over the years very effectively. You see Mchugh here is powerfully built, a little shorter than Grayson, but he's got, you know, that ability to suddenly punch the ball that so many of these great players have also. So here we go with a second last 16 match, just while Campbell Grayson goes to do his final little sort of preparations. Some of the things that we need to be thinking about when we're looking at these squash matches: are we watching each player individually from time to time to see the rate of recovery? Are we watching the racket preparation to see how early it is? Are we noticing the grip being choked up in the back corners and the range of motion that these players can produce when they are choking up the grip? It's very difficult when you're watching a game of squash at this level to pick out all of the amazing skills and artistry of these players. But if you pick individual areas and watch them for a protracted period of time, I think you'll find that you'll really get more out of watching rather than letting the whole thing wash over you and perhaps being so saturated by the amazing abilities that you don't notice the individual things. Here we go. Enjoy this match.
Michael Mchugh of Canada to receive. Best of 5 games. Level.
You see that distinctive wrist action there from Campbell Grayson on his backhand side. He really hinges that wrist and gets quite a lot of elastic snap from it.
Down. 1 love.
So early unforced error there from Mike Mchugh. And
out.
Conversely, an unforced error there from Campbell Grayson. A little bit static, I feel, as if he, you know, wasn't moving into position as he hit that shot.
And out.
So a little bit tentative, a little bit hesitant there, Mchugh. Both players trying to settle down and get into the rhythm of the game here.
Thank you. Stop, stop. Thank you.
So a little early to be going for a boast
3-1.
there. You know, we saw in the previous match that Martin Sfeck, the less highly ranked player, went short too early, was the one making the unforced errors. I think it's pretty important that the lower ranked player set their stall out with the higher ranked player right from the beginning
4-1.
and don't make unforced errors, don't go short too early. It's hard enough playing against a world-class player like Campbell Grayson, but you don't want to make it easy for him. You want to send the message that he's going to have to earn it. And if you make early errors, it really just raises the confidence of the higher player. Lovely tight ball down the sidewall there.
And out, 2-4.
Mchugh bought the opening there with the tight ball down the sidewall. Often you don't need to do anything to beat the other guy. Just play something tight and it will get a product that you can capitalize on. There we saw an example of Campbell Grayson, using his big strength and stretch and using that strange dropped wrist backhand, but very effectively to get himself out of trouble. Lovely cut there down the backhand line. So just watching Grayson's feet as he moves up into position before Mchugh hits it. He's a big guy, but he's actually pretty good on his toes there. You can see his heels are off the ground, not as much as Kaskelly's were, but a lot of the time his heels are off the ground. So speaks of his ability to take off quickly. Nice to see that Mchugh was active before Grayson hit the serve there. Makes it much easier to respond to the serve if you're moving instead of standing still. Beautiful by Grayson, getting his head right down, his eye level down to that ball. Very reminiscent to how David Pearson used to play his drop shots. David Pearson, the great coach, of course, of so many world-class players, especially Nick Matthew. But as a player, he used to get his head right down, tucked between his shoulders, to get his eyes down. Another player that was great at that eye-level execution of the drop shot, of course, was the great Jonathan Power.
(7-2).
So, too many opportunities at the moment being given up by Mike Mchugh to Campbell Grayson, whose stroke playing ability off a loose ball is superior. And there again, the unforced error, and we see the lower ranked player offering up too many opportunities to the higher ranked player, which just makes them so much more confident. I think just a little change of racket there for Campbell Grayson. So Mike Mchugh's really got to steady the ship here and try and get a little bit more length. At the moment he's looking a little tentative, not quite balanced. Got to get some flow, get some relaxation, get the rhythm to his liking.
(8-2).
Alright, so Grayson getting that racket up to speed. Here we go, 8-2.
Down.
Again, the eyes down there, but this time he actually dropped his head as he played it. You don't want to do that. You want to get your head down before you play it. You keep your head still as you execute. If you drop your head through the execution, you drag the ball downwards as you hit the shot. See, that time he kept his head at the same level and actually hit up through the drop shot. Well, you can see Grayson's a big guy, and Mchugh's got him moving around with the boast there a couple of times, and it was work. So if he can stay in it and not rashly make the error, see again, it's a big struggle for that big frame to reach that ball. And again, a nice little boast. So this will be very worthwhile if he doesn't make an unforced error for Mchugh, because he will have gotten some work into Campbell Grayson's body. But if he makes the error, I'm afraid the psychological advantage will still remain with Grayson. Now, time to reboot the rally here and rebuild and try and reboot the pressure once again, rather than folding up at this point in the rally. Beautiful tight ball. Produced a loose ball, which Grayson was able to attack with. That's getting to the wrong end of the rally. Oh, well, now I think that is a demonstration of the fitness level of the world's top 100 players, top 50 players, maybe I should say, because although Mike McHugh had done a great job, he wasn't able to continue what he'd started. Now obviously there's another match in McHugh's legs that isn't in Grayson's legs, but even so, it's a little bit worrying to see a player at this level having to give up at this stage of a match because of a hard rally.
4-9.
That's why we call it the fittest sport in the world. Again, you see how low Campbell Grayson gets down with his eyes, so he can really line up that drop shot. His perspective is very good when he gets down low down like that. Great use of the wrist there. Very reminiscent of the skills of Brett Martin of years ago. Hardly any racket head movement, and suddenly an explosive ball deep to the back of the court. With such a short swing, the amount of warning the opponent gets is very limited, and so the reaction time is really pressurized.
Down.
Yeah, didn't particularly like the way that he hit that in the
5-10, game
didn't
ball.
push off as he hit the shot, so he didn't transfer his weight into the shot. Transferring your weight in squash is kind of creating a whiplash effect, almost like using an old wet towel to produce a snap. And if you don't push off, you don't get the result of the weight transferring into the racket head, and you just get the power of your arm, which is nothing as much as the entire body weight. Again, lovely low positioning. Bit open racket face, open chested rather there. So if McHugh is going to make this work, he needs to float some balls in the process of building his rally, because obviously last time when he was going at a slightly quicker pace, he ran out of gas. But again, ball's not on the sidewall, and Campbell Grayson takes that first game with a beautiful overhead with side and cut, you know, fading it into the front corner to nick it for an 11-5 first game. So great first game. You know, Grayson showing his full range of dexterity, shot choice, and his mental and physical stamina. McHugh playing some good rallies, but the key rally that he needed to really win, he ran out of gas. So let's see what happens in the second game. Can McHugh, you know, recover the batteries and come out and find another rally like that and do some damage to Grayson, or is it going to be Grayson using his tremendous range of shots and waiting till McHugh gives him a ball that he can attack with those sort of skills that you just saw there?
When you have a truck, you want to go to the
Just a little update on the other match. Despite going ahead 2-1, Juan Camilo Vargas in the end went down to Shah Jahan Khan, who came back and won 3-2. Again, you can see those results on US Pro Squash Series lifetime.com/live. So here we go for game 2, and great performance there by Campbell Grayson in the first, using his full range of overhead volleys and his short arm flicks that penalised Mchugh's looser balls, and a few unforced errors from Mchugh. One really good rally from him, but he broke down at the end of it. Good work from Mchugh to get that ball back, because it was a quality drop shot and he was on the wrong end of that rally.
1 love.
But beautiful touch again on that backhand, feathering the fingers to touch the ball with no power on the front wall. And a pretty authoritative start there by Campbell Grayson. He came out and really stepped up the court and took charge of that rally. I thought Mchugh did well to hang on as long as he did, frankly, but in the end it was just too severe. Yeah, very business-like manner here for Campbell Grayson.
Throw to Grayson.
Yeah, and he's stepping up the pressure. Mchugh's going to have to change the pace of the game and really stonewall for a little while if he's going to get something out of this game, because if he keeps going at this pace, it's all about Campbell Grayson. He's, the stroke making ability of Grayson is really first class. And to limit him, you've got to keep the ball tight. That's the only chance you've got. Not only tight, but you've got to slow it down to give yourself time to be in position. And here we go, there's the unforced error from the lower-ranked player. And that's just, icing on the cake for Grayson.
Throw to Grayson.
So it's all a little bit of a rush, and unfortunately the pressure Grayson's creating is resulting in hastiness from Mchugh. He's got to dig deep and he's got to stay in these rallies, not accede to the pressure.
6 love.
I'd love to see him put in, 2 or 3 really long floated rallies of quality, slowing down, giving himself time, and try and frustrate Campbell Grayson. That's his only chance, I think. Wonderful range and reach Grayson's got there. He's a big man, and he's got the strength in the legs to hold the stability when he hits these volleys and reaches and uses that wrist to maneuver the ball around the court.
Seven love.
Once again, Mchugh's gone short too early and offered the counter-attack opportunity. It's so tempting. You think, I've got a loose ball, I should go short. But a loose ball is not a reason to go short. A loose ball with your opponent way out of position is a reason to go short. But a loose ball with a player like Campbell Grayson in position is a reason to build the rally to the back of the court once again. Really dexterous backhand wrist skills there. That's not something that is taught at the beginner level or even to really good elite juniors. That's something that he's developed himself. Perhaps he's watched some great players of the past, and he's in his own imagination spent time on the court really working on it. But it is really a unique individual skill. Great to see. Character of the game. There again, very unusual ability to use the wrist to punch the ball down the wall with almost no backswing.
And out 2-8.
Well, it's a nice little shot there from Mchugh. He was a little late off the ball, but it was good enough, and Grayson didn't challenge. So I'm sensing Mchugh building the rally a little bit better than he has been doing, but although he did go short again there a little early. Now there's the overreach from Campbell Grayson. I'd love to have seen him take an extra stutter step so that he could get there before the ball got there and push off it. That's one of the dangers when you lunge in squash, is that you don't have much resource left to move off the ball. Goodness me, that is a wonderful punch with that forearm down the wall there. Well played, Mchugh, though.
4-8.
He's taken the opportunity to drive him long, and he's put the foot on the brake of Grayson's attack here. Oh, look how low he got there. Watch this head stay still as he plays that shot. He gets down before contact with the ball instead of as contact with the ball. It's a subtle distinction, but it makes all the difference. It was tough for Mchugh because he was almost building a bridgehead to come back into this game. It was the wrong time to lose that point. I'm afraid it might be good night nurse now.
Game ball.
Lovely hold. And again, as we saw with Kaskelly, the suddenness of the forearm punches there just doesn't give reaction time to the opponent. Nice cut there by Mchugh. Oh, now why is he going short there?
11-4. Game to Grayson.
That shot is not about building a rally. That is about winning a point, and that's a short-term mentality. Very difficult when you're playing a player of Campbell Grayson's quality. But I would say in the middle of that game, Michael Mchugh started to put together a few rallies, moving the bigger man around the court with a little more patience, and got some results. But he didn't persevere for quite long enough. So 2-love now to Campbell Grayson. Wonderful racket skills, good movement, a lot of strength and power, and variation in what he does, with some unique individualistic skills. Great to see. Third game to come. Ooh, I'm going the wrong way here. So a change of shirt here for Michael Mchugh, and hopefully the change of shirt will bring a change of luck. As we were saying at the end of the last game, we'd like to see Mchugh extend some rallies and really use the bigger man's frame against him by twisting him all over the court. The risk is that if he plays the ball tall loose, that of course Campbell Grayson's superior racket skills can suddenly finish a rally. So dexterity versus patience, superior ranking versus inferior ranking. Let's see what the lower ranked player can do to stop the rock. He seems to have come out with purpose, which is good to see. That's that wrist again. Beautiful. See him choke up the grip there. If you want to watch him go to the back of the court, and it's a really good length from his opponent, and he'll choke up the grip.
One love.
A choked up, opened racket face will give you almost 360 degrees range of motion compared to a regular racket grip, which only gives you 180 degrees of range of motion. Again, really low, beautiful setup. Still dropping the head more than I'd like on that particular one, but he got under the ball and hit it upwards instead of above the ball and hit it downwards. Beautiful setup. A great camera angle there that we got from Steve Lowe, our director. Thank you very much. Nice use of the tip of the racket by Mchugh to play the little top and side spin to keep the ball tight to the sidewall. Both players putting some work into this rally. Now this was the sort of rally there Mchugh ran out of gas last time. Will he remember to put some floats in? No, I'm afraid not. That ball, I would love to have seen him just loft it down the line and give himself some oxygen. Of course, folks, I'm being hypercritical, and these are wonderful squash players, but as a coach, a professional coach, I'm always looking to help players move from wherever they are forwards. So it's not that I'm thinking that they're bad, far from it, they're wonderful, but I always want to help people try and get to the next level.
4-1.
And if it was Jahangir Khan, I'd be trying to come up with some way to help him, and I know that he would want to help himself. Yeah, I'm really appreciating how low he's getting. For a big man to get down like that is not easy, and it's a beautiful piece of technique. And if you're a big guy, you should pay attention to that. Even if you're a little guy, frankly. So, I think, you know, Mchugh is beginning to just fade a little bit of physical, maybe mental fatigue, you know, running out of ideas, and Campbell Grayson at this point looking supremely confident, playing a fair range of shots, but also getting around the court extremely well himself. There's a nice float early on the drop volley.
Yes, lad, 6-1.
So, key moment here for Mchugh to stop the rot and really re-establish himself if he can. If he could re-establish himself with a couple of rallies, you know, anything's possible. Not if you're going to play short from the back of the court, though. Nice top and side spin there. Use of the fingers and the hand to run the racket face around the back of the ball. Choking up there from Mchugh that time.
Down. And out 2-6.
Again, you saw as he made contact there, Grayson dropped his head down instead of getting down before he made contact. All right, so there's a little gap opening up a little bit there, an attempt to win a cheap point. That should give Mchugh some encouragement. So that poor length there, making the attack break down momentarily, but Mchugh's made his way back. Nice cut there by Mchugh on the backhand side. Great retrieving skills by Grayson. Again, that athletic, agile leg comes out, and he's got the strength to balance. But well done, Mchugh. He's taken Grayson around the court, and you saw a little bit of a weariness in Grayson's body language as he stood up there. So, as I said earlier, Mchugh needed to, stop the rot and really re-establish himself in this game if he was going to do anything. And this is the beginning of something, if he could carry it on, that might result in turning things around. There again, watch this ball.
And out.
It's loose. It's in the middle of the service box.
7-4.
Easy for a player of Campbell Grayson's racket skill to attack that ball. You cannot give Campbell Grayson anything to hit if you want to limit him. And that means the ball has to be against the side wall most of the time. Lovely cut. See how he works his hand around the back of the ball. When I say hand, of course, the correlation between the racket face and the hand is extremely close.
And out 5-7.
Well, here he is. He's still in it, Michael Mchugh, and Canadian hopes are staying alive in this tournament. He looks more organised. Looks like he might have a bit of a game plan here. And instead of going for the hard, long rally, he's now twisting and turning Campbell Grayson around the court. And he's using his own deception, holding the ball a little longer. There's great penetration there.
That's flat 6-7. The ball is more on the left, you go into him. Just go to the ball.
Well, Mchugh did stand on that ball for a long time. But I think the weariness that Grayson displayed persuaded the referee to give it as a let. But that was close because Mchugh needs to make more effort to come off his shot as he hits it. Grayson looking like the one who's trying to foreshorten the rally here, and that may play into Mchugh's favour. Good tightness, good attacks.
Out, stop.
Yeah, so again, the dropped shoulders, the heavy legs.
7-all.
There's an opportunity here for Michael Mchugh if he can maintain this game plan and keep Grayson off balance using the deception and the all-court variety. Some nice variation of pace here as well, not just on the speed of the ball, but on the moment of timing, sometimes timing it early, sometimes holding and timing it late. Oh dear.
And up, stop.
What a shame that we had to have that back
And
ball
out.
boast in that
8,
moment.
7.
Will that prove to be decisive? Especially as we've taken a little break here. Campbell Grayson regathering himself. If I was Mchugh, I'd want to present myself very quickly
8-7.
for return of serve to keep the momentum on my side. Very tight ball there. So Mchugh needs to keep this mixture of rhythms going. Keep Campbell Grayson off balance.
Down.
But there we go with the desire to win a point instead of playing
9-7.
a strategy. And that has cost him dear. Really, really good comeback, and he was orchestrating a great game plan, but a moment's lapse of concentration. And I'm sure Campbell Grayson was very grateful to see that ball drop in the tin. Mchugh looking much more on balance.
The flat. 9-7.
Well, it's a sort of a hoped for stroke. Campbell Grayson stopping there, and you know, equally I think Mchugh is a little bit lucky to have gotten away with that. If Grayson had been sharper onto it, Mchugh was slow off of it, and of course this is the thing that makes the difference in these decisions, is subtlety of timing, who arrives early, who arrives late, what kind of body language they display. It really is difficult for referees to see those fine differences. Well, here we go. We can see again a little lethargy creeping in, and
8-9.
the variation from Mchugh moving Grayson around the court, but not bashing the ball, you know, using that mixture of rhythms and paces and heights and deception. He's still in there at 8-9. And he looks well poised, I feel, compared to the beginning of the match where he looked a little doubtful. He looks engaged, connected with the ball. Again, you know, if you look to see where Campbell Grayson was standing when Mchugh went for that drop volley, it was the wrong reason to go for a drop volley. Yes, it was a loose ball, but his opponent was in position, so he should have gone long again, kept him off balance. So here we are, match ball. Credit to Mchugh, he's still playing almost as if it was the end of the first game, not the end of the match, potentially. And that's the right way to play, is to stick to your game plan. Your game plan is your game plan, as long as you think it's the right game plan, whether it's the first point or the last. And he must sense that Grayson is a little weary and has made some unforced errors. There we go again. So yeah, touch and go, interesting situation.
By 2 points.
Campbell Grayson needs to really mentally and physically focus and not play cheap. And by that I mean short for the wrong reason. Mchugh has to stick to his mental toughness, not be tempted into playing short just because the ball's loose. Know where the opponent is and work him. Nice tightness, nice slice, love that slice. Ooh, pop out. Now that's unfortunate. The pop out, which was a weak shot from Campbell Grayson, resulted in poor footwork from Mchugh, who didn't actually handle the opportunity well. And when I say pop out, that's what happens when the ball catches the side wall, front wall nick and comes out into the middle of the court. And that's because a player hasn't moved off early enough as they've hit the ball. So a bad shot from Campbell Grayson has resulted in a surprise shot down the middle and a loose ball from Mchugh and given him a match ball. A bonus that he perhaps wouldn't have expected. And he looks a little bit more determined now to play the rallies out. Well, there we go. Game and match with that trademark drop shot from Campbell Grayson at the end there. You know, all credit to Mchugh, who came back. Good game plan in the third game, and really might feel a little robbed that he didn't at least take that third game and go on to create a platform to do something more than that. Grayson, beautiful all-court skills, but definitely looking a little bit ragged when he was taken around the court at that mixture of paces by Mchugh. And if Mchugh goes back to watch the video, I think a lot of encouragement for him there. I think his decision-making process when the ball is loose has to change, and he's got to be more cognizant of where his opponent is, not just how loose the opportunity is. But yeah, good match. Congratulations to Campbell Grayson. He moves on to the quarterfinals. Just while we're watching the replays here, I want to mention that you can go to the LifeTime Squash, that's 2 words, LifeTime Squash Facebook page, and you'll be able to see live interviews with the PSA Pro winners, and you can also send questions to LifeTime to ask the pros as we go through the tournament. So again, that's LifeTime Squash Facebook page, and send us your questions and you'll be able to see interviews with the pros. Next match on court here will be up-and-coming Portuguese Rui Soares against one of the great squash professionals of the last 15, almost 20 years. Number 4 seed here, Cameron Pilley from Australia, well known, of course, for holding the world record for the speed of shot and power of his shot, but actually tremendous dexterity around the court, and really exciting to see him still playing at this point in time. What a fantastic career he's had. So we'll see him in just a few minutes' time. Just a quick update from the other court for this evening's other last 16 matches. Arturo Salazar of Mexico had a straight sets win, 3-love over Jamie Haycox. You can again see those results on usprosquashseries.com/live. So we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Richard Millman here for PSA Squash TV and the US Pro Squash Series, and we're broadcasting to you here from Vernon Hills in Illinois, and it's the LifeTime Grand Prix $30,000 tournament, and it's last 16 night to night. And on your left, in the orangey red shirt, you can see one of the legends of the sport, truly a great player who has been on the tour. I can tell you, he joined the PSA in 2001. Cameron Pilley, currently ranked 39. His highest ranking was 11. He's won 289 matches, lost 243, and in all that time, can you believe, he has never retired. He's been in 29 finals, and of course quite famous for the damage he did to his brother's back when his brother volunteered to have him hit the ball at his back. It's lucky he didn't die, I think. And I believe the world record speed for the striking of a squash player from Cameron Pilley was 176 miles an hour. Don't try this at home, folks. You'll hurt yourself. His opponent in the black on the right-hand side, up-and-coming Portuguese player, Rui Soares. In fact, beg your pardon, I bet that's Rui Suarez, and I apologize if I pronounced it badly. Benvenido to any Portuguese that are listening. Rui is currently ranked 82. His highest is 82. He's won 81 matches, lost 76. He's retired once. He's 26 years old. Joined PSA in 2012, and he's been in 4 finals. He now lives in England, and his coaches are Adam Fuller and my old mate Paul Carter, wonderful driver of the game of squash in England. He was an incredible competitor himself. I had a number of tough matches. I always came out on the wrong end in those matches. Great competitor. So, Rui's done well to come through to this level. And obviously, although Cameron is a legend of the sport, big trees are there to be toppled. So can Rui do something about that this evening? We shall see. In the first round, Rui came up against wildcard Chris Fuller from England, and that was a pretty good match, 49 minutes, and Rui came through 11-7, 11-4, 7-11, 11-6. Just a reminder that if you would like to see interviews with the pros, you can go to the LifeTime Squash Facebook, and there will be some interviews with pros there. And you can also send us your questions to ask the pros if you send them in there. The next match on the non-live stream court is going to be Mario Yanez from Mexico against number 6 seed Vikram Malhotra from India. Vikram played last week in the US Open and really was quite impressive, and you know, showed that he really deserves to be amongst the world's top players. Mario Yanez in the previous round beat Babatunde Ajagbe from Nigeria in a long 68-minute 5-setter. Yep. So, as we wait for the guys to do their final preparations, be interesting to see what Rui comes up with to cope with Campbell. Beg your pardon, with Cameron. Cameron has been in and out of the game recently, and he seems to have come back strongly just in the last few months. He has raking drives, tremendous reach. He's got very good subtle racket skills. Another guy who, although very tall, can get down very low. So my expectation is that, Rui is going to have to really stay in some long rallies to start opening Campbell up. Cameron up, I'm sorry, keep mispronouncing that. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do that because Cameron's ability to cut the ball off and really severely attack is very, very strong. But here we go. Referee is Mchugh. Good start, like the short, punchy forehand swing there from Rui Suarez. Very, very matter-of-fact little boast there from Cameron Pilley.
That's like 1-0.
Rui is very strongly built, so I would expect some pretty powerful changes of direction, and see that forearm hold is very, very good.
And 2-1.
Now obviously many of you are very experienced squash players and know the language of squash, but obviously we're trying to grow the game and pass information on to those people who are not as experienced. So when we talk about a hold, we're talking about holding the racket head still for as long as possible and then suddenly striking the ball at the last moment so that the reaction time of the opponent is very, very limited.
3-1 left.
So good start here from Rui. He looks very balanced when he's waiting for his opponent's next shot. Looks quite confident as well.
It was good, yeah.
And a very nice little cut. He was very early onto that ball, and Cameron was a little late recovering, so the combination resulted in a gap between Cameron and the ball. It's another example of a hold. He's held the ball to the last moment. Rui's committed, and the ball's gone the other way. Not wishing to be critical of Cameron's age, but definitely looking not as quick as he once was going forwards to the front of the court.
3-5.
So, seeing that, you would expect Rui to try and get Cameron deep and then, whenever possible, work him to the front of the court. The problem with that, of course, being if you work him to the front of the court too early, his counter-attacking skills are so strong that he may result in losing the point from an attacking strategy. Yeah.
No, that's sorry.
So yeah,
The
interesting
ball's quite
there.
a bit further back than the line you've taken.
Yeah, I mean.
I understand that, but if you would have taken a better line, it would have been a let. You went
Yeah,
too
so
far
as the
forward.
referee is explaining that
From the right,
Rui
4-5.
didn't take a good enough line, and if you notice when Rui hit the post, he didn't push up immediately with it, and so he was late recovering. And even though Cameron was a little slow off his drop shot was quality, and therefore there was no right
5 off.
for a let. So after a good start, Rui Saws has let Cameron Pilley come back into this. And Cameron beginning to just look a little bit more comfortable and
Let ball.
flowing around the court.
It's the same. It's the
And,
same thing. You've taken a line a lot further than where the
creating
ball's actually
time for
ending up.
himself.
It's not a stroke.
I have a feeling we're
5
going
all
to have
Pilley from the left.
some issues with the,
From the left side.
you know, the traffic in this match, because Cameron has a habit of playing the straight drop shot and watching it, and Rui has a habit of being late recovering from his last shot. So what results in that situation is late recovery plus late movement off the drop shot results in a collision. So we might end up with a couple of little conversations here. I'm hoping not, but we
And now
might.
it's 6-5.
A little sort of relaxed at the moment. I don't sense too much intensity.
Yeah.
Nice sharp strike of the ball from Rui there. But now there's a
Stroke
similar
to Pilley.
situation, you know.
Yeah, the ball's in the middle.
Drop shot from Rui, and he's just moved straight back into the line. It was a
And now
bad
it's
shot
6 all.
selection. He should have gone long. Generally, when the opponent is played
6 all.
short
The screen's
on
not
one
working.
side of the
6 all.
court to the other side of the court, and you play short on the side that he's just played on, it's going to cause interference because your opponent's obviously already at the front of the court. Mchugh was particularly good at knowing where to hit the ball to avoid
Stroke to Pilley.
creating those
7-6.
situations. So
Stroke. That is a stroke.
Rui, as we sort of discussed with Mchugh earlier, is sometimes playing the attacking short ball because he's got an opening, not because his opponent is out of position. And it might, I don't want to pun his name too badly, but he might Rui the day, I'm afraid. It's so good reading. Look at how quickly he's coming across here.
8-6.
That's an experienced squash player. So 8-6 Cameron Pilley.
Stroke to Suarez.
So yeah, neither player really working very
And now
hard
it's 7-8.
to move off their shots. You can see Suarez trying to use that boast to move Pilley. And that ball shaved off the edge of the frame. Talk about the skin of the teeth.
Weird, eh?
That really was the skin
8 all.
of the skin of the teeth.
There it is.
So back to 8-all. So shot selections, I think the biggest problem
And
for
now
Luis
9-8.
Suarez at the moment, he's seeing attacking opportunities, not necessarily working opportunities. Nice hold and move off the ball there that time by Cameron. There's a pop out. Another pop out from Rui. Those pop outs, as I said earlier, occur when the player doesn't move off the ball early enough, and that pushes the ball into the sidewall.
No let.
I don't think this can be a let. It's a terrible shot to the middle of the court.
And out,
Rui's
9-all.
got to have the right to hit that shot. So 9-all. A little bit of a scruffy first game. There's Cameron Pilley's amazing reach. There's a ball down the middle of the court.
Give you a let ball. There's no way that the ball is almost past you before you've got your racket out.
You know,
The ball is
the
nearly
question
past you
is,
before you've got your racket out.
did Rui have to
Close
delay
close
hitting
to a
his
no let.
shot
9-all.
while he waited for Cameron to move? And I think he did. Wasn't the quality that Cameron Pilley would have liked in yesteryear. That's going to be a stroke as well, because that's a loose ball.
It's close to a stroke. 9-all.
So as I said earlier, I thought we might have some traffic issues. The combination of not moving off the ball and being late and playing loose can produce some ugly squash. Hopefully they're going to clean their acts up. Good athleticism. Good athleticism. And
10-9
that
game ball.
backhand cross court from Cameron Pilley, really not good quality and didn't put himself in a good position. So a game ball to Rui Suarez.
Game
And
Suarez,
the unforced
11-9.
error
One game to love.
sends the first game to the lower ranked player. So a little bit of a scruffy first game. We're sort of going through a sorting out period, both players trying to work out what their game plan's going to be, what the other player is good at, what the other player is less good at. Suarez tending to play the attacking drop shots when the ball is loose rather than when his opponent's out of position. But he did successfully move Pilley with the boast a number of times. And Pilley maybe just sort of not quite sharp yet and relying on his striking ability and maybe needs to come up with a better strategy to move Suarez around the court, or at least keep him limited. The loose ball at the moment is giving too much freedom both to play off a loose ball and also creating traffic, as I said earlier. We've got to try and remove these traffic issues, and the way to do that is to put the ball tight on the sidewall. Make sure that as you hit the ball, you're moving off the ball into position so the opponent has to go and get it. Hitting it and standing still is just going to create conflict. So I hope that we move away from that. But well done to Suarez. Very good start in that first game. So here we go for the second game. Lower ranked player.
Suarez
Rui
leads 1 game to love.
from
Second game.
Portugal. 1-love up against the legendary Cameron Pilley, who hasn't quite found his stride yet. Hoping that both of them will start flowing and moving and come up with a better game plan. There's a wonderful, wonderful Aussie boast there. You know, a classic shot. I remember both Brett Martin and Rodney Martin using that shot to great effect. A little casual there. I mean, nice drop volley, but the movement was not corresponding. He stood still and didn't use that drop volley as an opportunity to compound pressure. He just relied on it to win on its own. There's some power. Sudden, explosive weight transference. Very good timing. But Pilley really needs to move up with his attacking shots rather than stopping to see if his opponent gets it back. Because at the moment, not only is his opponent getting it back, but he's getting it back with interest. And Pilley's ending up sometimes losing from the very attack that he made himself. Now an unforced error. How many times have we seen that this evening from the lower ranked player at a key time?
Down. And out 2-3.
It's a nice attack. Just sensing that Pilley is not as hungry onto the second and third balls. He's sometimes sort of speculatively playing and not really aggressively coming up to try and jump on the second and third and fourth ball. There's a pop out. Lovely little topspin there. You see him roll his racket round the top of the ball there.
And
that action that you put on the ball when you do the topspin puts geocentric force like a frisbee on the ball and encourages it to stay tight, glued to the wall. Tremendous advanced skill. Now you saw Pilley come up much more aggressively behind Suarez that time. Well, I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I think Suarez actually tried to play that. I'm not sure.
And out 5-3.
Yeah, no, he did try and play it. Because really it was a stroke if he would just held up. That's just a little inexperience. Now you saw there the change up of the speed of the racket. So that's not something that is easy to do. Cameron Pilley decelerated the racket to create the impression that the ball was going to go fast, and then he took all the air out of it. Tremendous skill. So the loose ball punished unmercifully. So 7-3, good lead here for Cameron Pilley. He's now beginning to move on to second balls with a little bit more authority and interest. Yeah, there we go. You see the follow-up here, aggressive.
From the left, 8-3.
That's key. You know, we celebrate striking of the ball and shot making in squash, but of course that is really secondary. That's just a tool to facilitate strategic position. And if you are not using your movement to get good position, all the great shots in the world don't really matter.
And out 4-8.
Very nice touch there. Late racket prep.
And
So
out
the ball's
9-4.
almost got down the sidewall, and the prep is up late. And the prep really triggers the subconscious mind to map out what the ball's going to do and plan your options. If it's late, you don't have options and you make mistakes. Again, I'm not liking the rate of prep of Rui Suarez on the backhand side. It means that decision making,
10-4, game
mental
ball.
decision making is very, very late, and it's leading to errors. I'd like to see that racket prep up really quickly as soon as he knows that it's a backhand. This forehand drop shot though is
5-10, game
paying
ball.
off well, and you see that Pili is kind of hanging back a little bit.
Game Pili,
Great
11-5,
cross-court,
one
Nick.
game ball.
All right, well, there's the second game. Cameron Pili coming back well. He looked more authoritative. Most importantly, as I said earlier in the game, he was moving from first ball to second ball to third ball with a little bit more authority and intent, rather than hitting a first ball and speculatively watching and getting caught out by counterattacks. Suarez, I'd just like to see that backhand technique a little bit better. I'm a bit concerned for him that Pili has recognized that there's a weakness in this backhand deep, and he's going to start penalizing him by playing the tight ball to the back of the court. Lovely little top spin drop shot there. Okay, so one game all, set for an interesting competition. Suarez, as I said, sort out the backhand technique. Don't make unforced errors as the lower ranked player. Pili is going to start putting his mark on this game, I think, by compounding series of 3 and 4 quickly followed up shots, accurate with pressure. So honours even at one game all.
Games are tied 1-all.
I think
Pili serving.
both players need to start this game with authority and intent. I think if Suarez doesn't start with real authority, he could find himself on the back end of this game pretty quickly, because Pili seems to have grown in confidence. You can see there's a sharpness to the movement. See how quickly he was looking to move up on that ball, whereas in the first game it was a little slack on the pushing up the court. Loose backhand. So yeah, the rhythm of the rally was always there in Pili's favour. Somewhere Suarez needed to stick a ball up in the air and say, hey, no, I'm not going to play your rhythm. I'm going to run my own rhythm. And you can see Pili's body is moving to the front of the court much more effectively than it was. There he is, punishing that backhand again, perhaps not tight enough this time. There's a pop out leading to a loose ball. Oh, that's a poor choice. That's a poor choice. He can't get off this ball, and he's, basically giving a stroke away for free there. A nice little nick serve.
2-1.
Rolled out of the back floor. 33 of those would be very nice. Great width, but here's the short, explosive rally that, frankly, is not in the younger man's favour. He needs to make sure that he makes Pili pay by getting him around the court for a long period of time, but with varied pace again. It's kind of a similar issue to the challenge between Mchugh and Campbell Grayson earlier. Big, strong, dexterous man against a powerfully built, lower ranked player.
Let's let.
Well,
2-all from the right.
This is a popping out half-length ball that gave Cameron no chance of playing it. So, to me, that was a stroke. But it is a subjective thing. I do think that having professional referees is a good idea.
And out 3-2.
But we need to have many more professional referees in the game that have been well trained and who are, talking to the players and developing an understanding of the rules as a collective. Nice hold there, but it was a little loose. But again, you see, to me, this is probably a stroke because he's played it, and
you've hit it.
If he had moved off before
hit the ball
he hit
too
it,
heavy. He's a
there
step
would have been
away.
a line.
It's a
but
simple
he
line.
hit it
wasn't
first
short.
and then tried to
wasn't.
recover, so he moves directly
long,
into the oncoming
3-2.
line. So if you watch, he goes hit, then he moves off,
from the right.
and of course by that time, Cameron's coming in. Sequencing in squash is really important. You don't go to a ball to hit it. You go to a ball to leave, and you hit it on the way out. That way you're on the way to the future instead of stuck in the past.
4-2.
It's to your advantage to move off as you hit the ball because it gets you in position for their next shot before they can ever hit it. Whereas if you move off after you've hit the ball, you're always late. Nice hold, and you can see in that case he moved off as he hit the ball.
5-2.
So there was no chance of him being in the way. Unforced error. Not the time to do it. That's going to encourage Cameron.
And out 3-5.
But a good third game start by Rui Suarez here. He needs to have the mental discipline not to start trying to go for cheap points here. He's got to make Pili work, and equally Pili has got to stamp his authority on this and not try and just play shots that he used to be able to put away and cover, because he just can't cover the way that he used to be able to cover. So there's a good example of it. So 6-3 Suarez. Very tight to the sidewall, but look at that loose ball, half length mid-court against one of the world's most famous squash players. You can't do that. But it's in the balance at the moment. Pili with his mobility issues and perhaps not playing as precisely and moving onto the ball as well as he used to. There's another good example. He's a little late getting there, so he's forced the issue. Yeah, he's talking about dropping his wrist there, and that's because he was not there in time to leave. Meanwhile, Suarez anxious, building some good rallies, but then too early trying for something that he doesn't need to try for. Pop out. Oh, lovely little reverse turn of the racket there. Yeah, it's a little bit of a strategic issue for Pili in that he has worked his opening.
8-4.
And historically, he would attack that short ball knowing that he could pick up and cover anything that came for it. But now, because he doesn't believe that he can cover everything, he's trying for a little bit extra and trying to force it and making the errors. It's a lovely little hold. With his body language there, he just drew Suarez in and then ran his open racket face around the sidewall. Very nicely done.
5-8.
5-8. So key moment for Suarez. He needs to really stick in and hope that Pilley is going to play short too early, make the error, or at least not being able to cover his counter to the short ball. Good retrieving there. There's the deep ball. That's the damage. That's the damage that if Pilley works that backhand deep, I don't think Suarez can cope with it because he's got a technical issue with his backhand prep. But if Pilley doesn't work that backhand deep, if he sort of is tempted into going short, then I think that lets Suarez out of the bag. Let's see how these next few points go. That's just oxygen for
7-8.
Cameron Pilley, and that's not what Suarez needs to be giving a man who's short of oxygen. Loose ball, and again the opportunity to go short for Suarez, and Pilley can't cover it. Late prep there, but he managed to get his wrist around the back of it. That was much better prep. Trouble. Lovely hold. Good prep on that forehand. Nice style as well. Cameron may be getting a little weary here. Might get a bit scruffy here if we're not careful. That cross-court Cameron keeps playing to Rui's backhand is not good. It's much better on the straight ball. Nice lob. Ooh, tired. That's loose. And standing on it. Oh, he's lucky to get away with that. Oh, I see why he got away with it now. It was another great little piece of deception. The decelerated racket head looks like it's coming deep, and that just rocked Suarez back on his heels for long enough to delay him. Both players having to dig deep here. That's a nice ball. There's the pop out. And again. Well, it's a shame because I think Pilley had done the work.
10-8, game ball.
That backhand deep is money. And he worked the opening, but because he wants to win too quickly, he's made the error. So, game ball for a 2-1 lead.
That's let. So let ball.
Well, that's interesting here. I'm not sure that Pilley was going to be there in time. Suarez thought he'd won the game.
He was a step away, and your ball is just a little bit too high to be a no let.
Very close.
Still narrow. 10-8, game ball.
So this will be a good mental test for Suarez. Having hoped that he'd won the game, does he really believe in himself, and can he carry the game plan through or was he hoping for a cheap exit from the court? Short ball, very risky.
Stroke to Suarez, game 11-8.
Well, there we go. The limited speed to the front of the court once again being penalised, and we have our first situation this evening with the lower ranked player taking a 2-1 lead. It's still in the balance. I feel as though Pilley's legs are beginning to get a little bit tired. Suarez not quite sorted out his strategic understanding, but a lot better. Pilley has an opportunity, if he can really work this backhand deep, to pin Suarez down, but if he tries to go short, cheap and early, he will be in trouble. So, well-balanced match. All court squash from Suarez is what's required, and shutting Suarez down by Pilley is what's required by using that backhand tight ball to the back of the court. So let's see what happens. Back in a minute for the fourth game. So, Portugal's great hope here, Rui Suarez, stands a game away from taking a wonderful scalp if he can do it.
Suarez leads 2 games to 1. Fourth game, level.
The legendary Cameron Pilley dig back into his experience and find a game plan to limit this powerful young European. I think the cross courts definitely are another way that Pilley's movement issues are exposed. So he really needs to stick to the straight game, especially when he's under pressure. He can't afford to be playing cross court. Yeah, I think judicious use of the lob by Pilley would be good because it will give him time to stabilize and organize. And if he combined some phrasing of shots, lob followed by volley to a length, followed by attacking drive to a length, he might be able to put periods of 3 and 4 shots together to really tie Suarez up. Suarez, on the other hand, has to also play some decent width and length to get in front, but then as soon as possible start moving Pilley when Pilley's out of position.
(3-1).
So 3-1, good start for Cameron Pilley. Obviously, in between games, you know, number 1 seed Ryan Koskelly, fellow Aussie, had a little chat with Pilley, so maybe they've come up with a good game plan
the
here.
ball's in here.
That's the second time that Suarez has not been quick enough to hold up to take the stroke opportunity, and that's literally experience. He needs to see that situation another 15, 20 times, and he will not get caught out by that. Risky Pili playing short. That's his old instinct. He used to be able to cover that ball, but if his opponent's in position, he can't afford to do that anymore. Yeah. I think when the ball is going to the front corners, Pili really needs to get his feet round and hit the raking straight drive into the back corners, whereas at the moment he's extending and reaching to play a drop shot, which is then
3-4,
making his lack of coverage exposed and allowing Suarez to come in and capitalize. So Suarez back to 3-4. Yeah, bad cross courts by both of them, which has been enough for Pili to capitalize on. Bad being relative, of course, we're talking about world-class squash players here. Very tight. But he got away with it that time, but you saw again when Pili played the cross court to the backhand, how much court he had to cover from the forehand to the backhand. So he needs to be careful on that. But here he is, 6-3, fighting his way back from 2-1 down. Now, if we go back to Campbell Grayson in the previous match, how low were his eyes compared to the ball? And you see there Rui Suarez standing up way above the level of the ball. So the technical skills of Grayson compared with Rui Suarez on that drop shot, very, very illustrative of what needs to happen. That's a beautiful ball. That's where I think there's money to be had for Pili. Although when he goes up to that front right, I'd like to see him get his feet round and hit some more raking drives into the back of the court. Slightly loose ball, and
out 4-7.
The coverage exposed once again. 4-7. Yeah, but it's a loose ball, Cameron, and he's going to have the right to be there to play. I don't think
he's not going to stop in that situation. I know, but he's not going to stop in that situation unless he's bumped you. It's an easy
So
ball.
I think a professional referee would have said to Cameron that you've got to go and play that ball. And I think that's one of the difficulties, is that we have so much variation in the way lets are called these days that it's very frustrating. It's difficult for the viewer to understand why the decision's made like that, the player to understand, and we need more clarity in teaching of referees so that everybody is on the same page. So as he hit that post, he slightly turned open, which closed the racket face and took it into the tin. 5-7. This is a key moment in the match for Cameron Pili. He really has got to stamp his authority and play the full length. And there's too much loose ball going on at the moment. That was what I wanted to see, but he didn't get his feet far enough around. Pop out. Oh, very confidently played. Look at this little deceleration there. Very nice with the undercut. Eyes were a little high, but he hit it high enough. So 6-7. Really important 2 rallies coming up here. A little early for the boast there for Suarez. You saw a couple of times Pili play a drop shot and then stop, hoping that it was good enough to win. That's very risky. but he
And out 8-6.
got away with it.
8-6.
Suarez sensing the opportunity to get this tremendous scalp. Not really quite sure that he can believe it. And Pili desperate to avoid what would be considered a loss for him against a player of a lower level. Pop out,
9-6.
opportunity, unforced error. How often do we see that a loose ball precipitates an error, the opportunity misused?
Stroke.
Okay, that I'm afraid
10-6, game
he's
ball.
forgotten his game plan and he's trying to win a point. The boast worked Pili up the court really well. The next shot needed to work him to the back of the court.
Game
Well,
Pili
congratulations
11-6,
there
2
to
games off.
Cameron Pili, because he really did work out what he needed to do. He stopped fiddling about at the front of the court, and Suarez, seeing the finishing line maybe a little bit, just fell off of his game plan. Now, sometimes there can be some local differences in people's understanding of how to call lets, and obviously if Suarez is going to play at the international level, which he already does, but continue to do so, he has to accept what's the culture of the international game. But in some places, if you stop your swing and don't make an attempt at hitting the ball and you just hold the ball up, people will give you a let or even a stroke. But in this game, you have to make it clear that you held your racket up and you could have decided to play. So, honours even, 2 games all. What do you think's going to happen in that 5th game? So, is Cameron Pili going to be demonstrating that incredible experience and playing the ball deep down the backhand side, making sure that he forces Suarez to make errors? Or is he going to chance his arm and play short like he used to when he could cover the ball? Is Suarez going to move Pili all around the court and wait for the counter-attack opportunity to catch him out? Interesting balance. I have a feeling that experience may win the day, but it just depends on those legs of Pili's. Are they tired? Will he fold?
Games are tied 2-all. Pili serving the 5th. Love all.
So, gotta set your stool out now, boys. Start like you mean to go on. Short fairly early. Oh, now what's happened here? Did it hit the neck?
Well,
Not really. He just didn't prepare quickly enough, and so he didn't stabilize because he didn't read it. Racket prep is so much more about reading the game than it is about hitting the ball. Hitting the ball is a minor part of racket prep. Well, a couple of tired movements there from Rui Suarez. You know, that boast hurts Cameron Pili. Yeah, it's got to be tight. Suarez's racket skill
And
from
now
a
1-all.
loose ball is exemplary. Now that's a nice little touch, and you see he gets there early enough to be able to actually be coming off as he hit that shot. Also getting there early provides a physical threat that you might be going to do any number of things. 2-1. Not quite tight enough, you know. It's the tight ball down the backhand that does the damage. The loose ball actually is dangerous and opposite a threat. Here's the loose ball, and very nice. And he doesn't have to cover the short ball because he's played short with his opponent at the back of the court. You remember me talking earlier about the reason to play short is not because the ball's loose, it's because it's loose and the opponent is out of position. Now Suarez plays short, but Pili was in position. Oh, that's quality. That is quality. Not just the accuracy, but the fingers that he used for touch so that there was hardly any pace on the ball. So when Suarez got there was nothing to hit. So you see Pili is playing long, which is what I suspected he needed to do. But he also needs to cover short more. You know, a good baseball player on first base will steal to second base. Well, a squash player needs to do the same thing. If you've played a good length and your opponent has not intercepted it on the volley, as soon as you see that he hasn't intercepted, you've got to steal yard up the court. Now that's a good rally, but I mentioned earlier the issue with the big, long, tired legs. I'm hoping that that was just momentary for Pili's sake, and on the other hand for Suarez.
2-4.
You know, did he just see the great legend buckle? If he did, he's got to work him again. Good wrist skill. Taking him long. Kept him long again. This is good, but he didn't steal enough. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Now he's created enough space between himself and the wall to use that short arm flick with power straight down the line. And you see him adopting, you know, deep balls patiently to try and get his openings, as long as it stays tight. But as I say, I'd like to see him take another yard up the court when his length is successful, because he is struggling to get up the court.
That's let. No, the ball's 3 feet to the side of him. It's a let.
Yeah, second bounce landed right on the short line. So, you know, effectively, Suarez has completely prevented Pili from hitting the ball. And you saw Pili, who was played at the top of the game, asking for the video review. Well, between Steve and I, I'm afraid we aren't equipped today for the video review, but we understand what you mean, Cameron. So he is keeping him deep, but he's got to cover short because that's where he's weak. And he's got to watch out for that boast from Suarez. Oh, there we go. Slightly loose ball, and he can't cover that short ball.
And out 3-5.
Good on Suarez for recognizing that there was an opportunity there. 3-5. Good depth from Suarez. Oh, good width.
Up ball.
So I think that needs to be a let because
I
neither
can't
player
I
were
can't exactly
really.
see that clearly in that situation. I can't see that
Suarez
clearly.
was
It's tough
not
to
quick
tell.
enough to be there for the stroke. Pili didn't really know what
3-5.
was
I can't
going
tell
on when he
exactly where the
mishit
ball
that
is and
little
where he is.
boast.
3-5.
So utter confusion results in a let, I think. Both players need to dig deep and really discipline themselves here. Really is in the balance, I think. Either player could win. Suarez beginning to look tired. A little late onto some of these balls. And Pili equally not getting the quality of width that he's used to. If either one of them puts in a hard rally where they're commanding it, I think it will be enough to win the match.
I know it's 6-4.
He followed it up though. It wasn't just a shot to nothing. He was ready for the next ball. Great width again. Oh, back wall boast could be trouble. Wasn't well used, but why did Cameron go short? There's the ball that hurts. That's the ball that hurts.
Went to the ball.
But push up, that's it.
Well, you didn't ask.
So a couple of weary bodies
7-4.
here. It's a good squash match. Evenly balanced. Two different strategies matching up for a good competition. Tightness required here. Oh, rolling Nick. And very nice movement with the legs there when he played that drop shot, so that the arm was allowed to work on the fine control. The legs did the weight transference.
Down.
Okay, so a couple of quick points here.
6-7.
6-7. Very even. Whoa! Look at this cross-court target, Nick. Whoa!
8-6. Hand out 8-6.
These next two rallies really going to determine the way this match goes. Great width and length. Another attacking deep ball. Bit slow on the movement. Cross court's a bit risky. He can't cover that ball. Yeah.
Hand out 7-8.
Short attacks need to be covered. 7-8. Pop out. Ooh. Go. Great athleticism.
Yeah,
Little Miguel Angel Rodriguez there.
He's done nothing wrong there. If you did nothing wrong, you have to ask if you want at the time. You can't ask after the fact.
Suarez complaining about the position that Pili took with his body, but the point was that Suarez had played the loose ball in the middle of the court, so it's his fault that Pili was in that place to play the drop shot. So 9-7 on the cusp. Good attack. But here we are. See again.
And down
Didn't push
8-9.
up when the opponent didn't volley. He needed to steal there. 8-9. Nothing in it.
That's like
See, I don't think that he would have been given a let by a
8-9.
professional referee. Not that I want to criticise Mike. He's doing the best he can. But I think the current state of the game is that that would have been given as a no-let. Because he played a loose ball and Pilly's ball was perfectly good. A little drop wrist boast there, interesting. Okay. Both players have got to stay on their toes here. There's a moment's lapse of concentration win me the match. Quite a nice lob. Keep pushing up, Mr. Pilly. There it is.
That's like
No, there's no let there. That's no let.
8-9. It's a let ball.
All right. Well, that's a. See, this to me is a clear no let. Clear no let. So it's very difficult. You know, both players are fighting for their lives, and the nature of the game results in arbitrary
8-9.
decisions. But they're both professionals, and they have to deal with these situations. That's going to be a
simple
let.
let.
Although, again,
It's a simple let.
pro referees these days may well have given a no-let because Pilly's ball was
The ball
loose.
is 5 feet high.
And
8-9.
Suarez's ball bounced at the back of the service box. But they can't let this distract. That's going to be a stroke. That's going to be a stroke,
10-8,
I'm
match
afraid.
ball.
Which is a shame, that loss of concentration at that moment. Big moment right here. Nice tightness there. Push up, push up. He got it. Oh, what a good width and what a good drop volley. Oh, mid-court, nothing. Still alive. Still alive. Loose.
Up ball, up ball.
That's probably going to be, it has to be a let. Let given.
It's pretty close. He's gotten a few harsh
Maybe
calls. It's a let.
Cameron would like to go off for a cup of tea. Come back a little later and play the last point.
10-8.
But a good sense of humour displayed by both players there. Here we go again, match ball. Game plan still in mind. Oh my word. There's the cross court, Nick.
9-10, match ball.
Who's got ice in their veins? Loose. Good pickup. Best movement to the front of the court from Pili we've seen. It's going a little bit negative now, although he needs to play long, it needs to be with some spice. Ooh, went for the top spin drop with the change up. Caught the top of the
win
tin.
by 2 points.
So back to all square. Key moments.
Just like, there's not a lot of effort to get to the ball. I didn't think. 10-all. Left.
I think he's lucky to get a let, to be honest. Again, he played to the middle of the court, but as I said earlier in the match, is that a good shot selection from Suarez? Would he have been better to think about the consequences of his drop shot and play deep? It's an amazing shot, but a great get. Oh, now this is a great half volley. Watch his timing as he takes that ball, and you saw he recruited his muscles in his legs and timed weight transference perfectly. That's the quality timing of a great athlete. That's a Viv Richards or a Mickey Mantle, whoever you like. See how he held that and perfectly transferred his weight with a very short swing, actually.
Hand out 11-10 match ball.
The down the middle serve to try and avoid the cross-court nick. Good idea. Pop out. Tighter. Pop out. Ooh. Suarez does play that little short attacking backhand really well. Oh, forehand volley, straight nick. One of the great shots in the game.
Hand out 11-all.
So we're going to ask them if they want a break in a minute. Not really. It's an unusual boast. Haven't seen that before in this match from Pili. Good coverage. Oh. First match ball to Suarez.
12-11 match ball.
So we've got a good crowd who are really enjoying this match in here today. And they're on the edges of their seat, literally. You can see the referee's on the edge of his seat. Match ball. Loose ball there. Good depth. More trouble. Trouble. Game and match. Upset. Energy and youth over experience in a very tight match here at Vernon Hills at the LifeTime $30,000 PSA Championships. Congratulations to Rui Suarez. Good game plan, managed to overcome the experienced Cameron Pili. And the crowd have loved this match. It's really been a great demonstration of squash, played in a great spirit. So, as we saw, the vulnerability of Pili covering the short ball, that was the biggest challenge, and he was able to limit Suarez a lot by playing quality, width and length, but as he got tired and his legs weren't working as well, he just couldn't quite keep up the early interceptions of the ball to keep the man behind him. And Suarez's dexterity, range of shots, which are very good, and all-around game plan were just fractionally too much for that legendary player, Cameron Pilley, in the end. So we have one more match, and that will be our number 2 seed here. And that will be Adrian Waller from England, our number 2 seed, against a very experienced and really talented Finn, Henrik Mastan, or Mustonen, I should say, who has been, one of the top 2 Finns for an awful long time. And it'll be interesting to see what happens in that match. Henrik Mastan beat wildcard Chua Man Chin from Singapore 11-6, 11-8, 11-5 in 40 minutes in the previous round. And we haven't seen Adrian Waller yet. This is his first match. In a few minutes I'll try and give you an update on what's happening on the other court. So, ladies and gentlemen, on the other court, in the all-US clash at the moment, Chris Hansen, US champion, is just taken a 1-love lead against Faraz Khan, also a New Jersey American, and second game's just starting. Looks very, very tight indeed. So, in our next match here on the live stream court, Adrian Waller from England. Very interesting player, one of the now top English players. He is currently ranked 24. His highest has been 21. He's 29 years old. He joined the PSA in 2009, so he's pretty experienced. And he's won 207 matches, lost 148. And he's got into 13 finals. Interesting statistic that he has, which is really, I think, a testament to his prowess and toughness. He holds a record of a 157-minute match with the great Sean Deliere from Canada, well known for his marathon matches. So Adrian Waller, very, very tough player, a lot of resolve, prepared to, take as long as it needs. And he again is coached by my old mate Paul Carter, another great player in the England stables. His opponent here, Henrik Mustonen, has been vying with the other great Finn of the last few years, Ollie Tuominen, for that dominance for many years. And he's been on the tour for a long time and has been very successful. He's currently ranked 93, but he's been up as high as 35. He's won 169 matches, lost 141, retired once only. He's 28 years old. He joined also the PSA in 2009. I apologise if I murder the name of his coach, Pekka Kanulainen and Vili Sustanen. Yeah, so very experienced player. And who did he beat in the previous round? Oh yes, I said earlier, Chua Man Chin from Singapore, who I don't know. So I suspect that this will be a long rallying, tight, patient affair. I may be proven to be wrong, but I suspect that that's what we're going to be seeing in the next few minutes. On your screen, Adrian Waller in the blue, big tall man, and Henrik Mastan in the black shirt with the yellow stripe and the long pants on right now. Last match of the evening, and looking forward to it.
You're right.
Okay, ladies and
Hang on a
gentlemen, here
sec.
we go for the last match of this evening's schedule. Henrik Mastan from Finland
Right.
serving, Adrian
Best
Waller
of 5
from
games. Henrik
England
serve.
receiving.
Level.
And let's see what happens. So,
Yeah, well love.
first impressions, Adrian Waller very, very physically up for this, very sharp. Mastan also looks very strong.
2 love.
Maybe a little less agile. A little sort of stolid in his movement compared to Waller. Yeah. Nice execution there, but Waller is quite upright.
3 love.
I could imagine if he got very tired that he might catch the top of the tin on some of those shots, but right now he looks very much in control. Well, there you go. There's an upright stance, and he's
1-3.
put it in the tin. Similar thing.
Yeah, 4-1.
You see here, no footwork there from Mastan. Didn't do his stutter steps, didn't load energy into his body, so he fell over as he hit it and hit the tin. So Mastan really interested in chopping this ball in short at this point. Very tight. So here we have a quick cross court, but no movement off the ball, so not expecting the early intercept from Mastan. Good court coverage. Yeah, now that's nice. He's got there ahead of time.
Yeah,
you can see he
5-2.
can move off this ball as he hits it, which again sends a message to the opponent of uncertainty as to what's going to happen. Got a lot of intensity on these rail or drive rallies, switching rail after rail. A nice hold, nice hold. So
6-2.
you can see the position Mastan took over there was completely on the right side of the court, not narrowing down the angles of possibility. And as a consequence, there was a big hole for Waller to aim at.
7-2.
Nice racket prep there from Waller really early, giving him choices. Mastan's racket prep seems to be a bit more proportional to the arrival of the ball, which means he's not quite as far ahead of the game.
8-2 left.
Very late racket prep there. Of course, the thing with technique is that you can be really good at technique and bad at other things and not do well, or you could be really not very good with your racket preparation but brilliant as an athlete and a strategist and still be a great player. There are so many facets to the game of squash, but obviously if your fundamentals are good, it's a good platform from which to build.
Now 3-9.
And it's difficult to get to the very top of the game without good fundamentals. Nice little hold and
4-9.
weight transference across there. Little comeback from Mastan at the end of this game, if it is the end of this game. But Waller seems very much in charge to me.
10-4 game ball.
Again, the late racket prep, making the decision-making process as to what the ball's going to do very late and uncertain. Nice topspin there from, and again, see how that ball hugged the wall? That was a stroke, really. That was very nice of him to hit
Yeah,
that ball.
5-10 game ball.
You see how that topspin hugged the sidewall and made it very difficult for Waller to keep the ball tight. Good attack.
Game.
Yeah, so stretched under pressure and just couldn't cover all the options there. So Adrian Waller comes out winning the first game. You know, to me it seemed as though his dominance to the back of the court created so many opportunities because Mastan has ended up playing short, not by design but having been forced to play short. And I would say that Mastan really needs to work on getting height and width and getting Waller behind him, and he's not having much success with that at the moment. The tactics of going short,
Yeah. Yeah.
the tactics of
I think
going
that's one
short
after
against a
Australia,
player who's
isn't it?
covering the front of the court
2-15.
are never going to really give you control of the court. It's a risk, and you're trying to win, you know, cheap points, and that's not a way to build a long-term plan for the game. But we'll see. It's very difficult against a player of Waller's quality, and we'll see if Mastan can come up with a little bit more twisting and turning, because Waller is a big guy, and if we can get him deep and then maybe use some of those little topspin drops to stretch him out at the front, maybe he'll get some success. Let's see. So the second game coming up in this last confrontation of the evening between our number 2 seed
Leads 1 game to
Adrian
love.
Waller
Love
and Henrik Mastan of Finland. Nice little hold, but he disconnected from the ball after he'd played it. See
Yeah,
how
love.
upright he is there? So physically, mentally, emotionally did not stay connected to the ball. Good width and length there from Waller. But I do think Mastan's best tactic is to try and use deception and short, quick shots. Not short to the front of the court, but short in duration, quick shots. To use the larger Waller's movement against him. Waller's movement is actually pretty good, but he sometimes seems to lose track of the ball after he's played the shot, and so there's an opening there, and you know, a very short window of opportunity to wrong foot him. So
2-1.
again, Waller, after his cross court, stood up instead of staying down connected to the ball, and that quick shot catches him out.
3-1.
Ball's hit the top of the tin because Waller's racket face closed there as he rotated forwards. So it's interesting to watch. You know, Adrian Waller, very good squash player indeed, but you know, if I was coaching against him, I would definitely be saying to my student, look out for the immediate moment after Waller has hit the ball, because there is a vulnerability there for a split second, if you can be quick enough to capitalize on it. I wouldn't be advising my student to play long, steady rallies that give him time to get settled, because I think that might be the end of your life. Upright. Tough for big guys, but you see how far his eyes were away from the impact point. That's why, not to labour the point, but that's why I was so impressed with Campbell Grayson earlier on today, because for a big guy, he gets right down so his eye level is parallel to the ball when he hits these shots.
4-2.
Mastan also does a good job on the backhand of getting his eyes down to the level of the ball. That's a terrific width here. Watch the wrist snap to get that ball wide of Mastan there. Well done, Adrian Waller.
Yeah, if you'd stopped.
Very nice cut on the back of the ball there from Adrian.
I didn't think it affected enough to replay the point.
Watch this cut straight down there, yeah, very nice. And to be fair, Mastan was late recovering. So I think tactically, Henrik Mastan has got to play effectively an approach shot, and then very quickly after the approach shot, follow it up with a snappy, quick ball of some kind to try and catch Adrian Waller not fully engaged with the ball. But if he just plays the traditional long, steady rallies, I think he'll be on a hiding to nothing against this superior striker of the ball who's playing the lines of the court very, very well. And who's, in his own right got a great wrist snap and sudden changes of direction at the front of the court.
Let. 5-all.
Probably, again, the professional referees might have given a stroke there, because that is the state of the game at the moment.
(6-5).
I wonder if Mastan will recognise that there's an opportunity on the return of serve to play a quick fire return to catch Waller out, because Waller, as he comes off hitting the serve, tends to be a little bit more interested in where he's moving to than he is in the ball. I haven't seen Mastan see that opportunity yet. Good patience, very good patience. Lovely float there, cross court. When I talk about a float, I'm not talking about a lob. A lob goes up and down, and a good athlete can run back and wait for a lob to come down. Floats, on the other hand, roughly follow the outer court diagonal line on the sidewall and are always travelling away from the player. So if they don't volley it, it dies at the back of the court, but they can't run back to get it.
7-5.
On that last drop shot, we saw Waller get his eyes right down. Much better execution. There's that backhand snap across the court
8-5.
again. I think he does that really well. Holds it and very sudden. Uses his legs to transfer his weight.
Oh, wow.
There's the right option,
9-5.
but not well executed. So a nice comfortable lead for Adrian Warren at 9-5. And
10-5.
maybe
game
a
ball.
little loss of interest in this game
Yeah.
for Henrik Mastan. And
He's gonna pack, right.
very good. You saw Waller steal there. Unfortunately, his cross-court wasn't
6-10,
very
game
good,
ball.
but that's what I was hoping that Cameron Pilley would do earlier, is when he played a good length, steal up a little bit. Yeah, it's
Game,
very
11-6.
nice. Very good short punch in there. Lots of stability and balance. So, superior work here by Adrian Waller. Definitely, in control, keeping his man to the back of the court. And the odd occasions that Mustonen has played the quick fire ball hasn't really made enough difference to get any leverage in the game. So 2-love, Adrian Waller. Okay, so getting ready now for this third game. Adrian Waller looking comfortably in control. So, real issue when you're a lower ranked player coming against a confident higher ranked player to take the game to the higher ranked player and to actually establish a beachhead from which you can build a position. It's so tempting to try and do more than needs to be done because you feel you have to do something special.
Level.
Here we go. 2-love. Level. All business, Adrian Waller here. It was a very good mental, physical approach to the last game.
1-love.
Busy, busy, busy. Love it. And see how he came across there. He was much more engaged than he was in some of the serves in the first and second game.
Yeah, stroke.
And you see as he comes off this how he's physically leaning towards the ball. He's wanting the next ball. He's not just watching, but he's actually hunting. Which is a great word in squash.
3-love.
Hunting is the attitude of somebody who is both offensive and defensive, on their guard, opportunistic, not showing where the opportunity is coming from, but always being ready to take advantage when it comes. Yep.
1-3.
Yeah, he's just taking advantage of Waller leaning a little bit early and guessing what was going to happen.
Stroke. 4-1.
That's a shame, really. I mean, he's too interested in damaging Waller and not interested enough in putting himself in a good position. And in doing so, he's given the stroke away. There's that lovely little wrist. You don't see it coming. It's sudden, very sudden. There. Now there's the quick ball that we
Down
talked about
2-4.
earlier. So Waller accelerated the ball faster than his own ability to get back in position.
5-2.
5-2, quick lead. Again, I think that's a good
6-2.
idea if there was corresponding quality setup, but that isn't good footwork. It's got good basic technique at all. A little casual. It's close to a stroke again. Good retrieve there. Ooh, there's that fastball. And that was where the window of opportunity was, but Waller did really well that time. Good hands, great hands there.
Right side.
Retrieving that
7-2.
ball. That ball beats a lot of players. Very calm, very casual.
8-2.
I love those short arm flicks. He's got great timing, great hold. Watch this.
And now 3-8.
Well, that wasn't the one, it was the one before, but very good changing of the racket face and redirecting the ball. You know, that's what Bruce Lee was so good at, was using his body weight and with very small movements transferring maximum power and weight. Ah, beautiful.
9-3.
Good coverage. And he's moving off that ball. He hasn't decided that's a winner. He's still ready for the next shot. But Mastan's tactic of going short too early, I'm afraid, not paying there. There's another redirect. Love that redirect.
10-3. Match ball.
So pretty plain sailing here for Adrian Waller. Unfortunately for Henrik Mastan, unable to get the ball deep and
Match
getting
Waller.
behind.
3-love.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the end of our first evening of coverage here at the LifeTime 30,000K.
Jeez, guys.
This $30,000 Grand Prix. Some interesting matches. The match of the evening, of course, Rui Soares' amazing win over the legendary Cameron Pilley. So tomorrow we're back with 4 exciting quarterfinals, all of which will be on this court. And I think the match times will be, as this evening, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and 8 o'clock. And just a reminder, if you would like to see those interviews with PSA winners, you'll go to Lifetime Squash Facebook page, and don't forget to send us in some questions. Okay, so a fun evening squash, lots of different styles. You know, we saw here at the end Adrian Waller's redirects with his hands. We saw, you know, Pilley's great length up and down the wall. We saw Ryan Cuskelly's incredible short arm power that misdirects people all over the place. And of course, we saw Campbell Grayson's lovely technique for a big man getting down low. So I think, you know, an entertaining, instructional evening of squash. And tomorrow, of course, we'll see those players testing each other and maybe even see a greater demonstration of the skills of the game. So Richard Millman, once again saying good evening and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks a lot.